2025 presented by Growmore Financial Services.
Market volatility is an inevitable part of investing. But with the right insights, strategies, and discipline, volatility can be turned into an opportunity, and that is exactly what we aim to discuss today.
We don't believe there is potential of a deep market correction like 2008 where Sensex crashed 60%. Why? Look at this. 2020 में लिस्टेड कॉर्पोरेट इंडिया का प्रॉफिट था 4 लाख करोड़ रुपए। इस साल प्रॉफिट होगा 18 लाख करोड़ रुपए, ऑलमोस्ट 4.5 गुना ज्यादा। जब तक ये प्रॉफिट 18 लाख करोड़ से वापस 4-5-6 लाख करोड़ नहीं होता, तब तक मार्केट में बड़ा करेक्शन नहीं आ सकता। स्टॉक्स आर स्लेव्स ऑफ अर्निंग पावर। प्रॉफिट बढ़ेगा, दाम बढ़ेंगे।
If India can build fresh relationships, especially bilateral relationships, that's what probably will work for us. And maybe in certain sectors we had the capabilities, but others were slightly better because of their cost competitiveness. If that cost competitiveness has been dented because of the relatively higher tariff, let's say if you look at some of the Asian countries, whether it's China, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, you look at any of these countries, all of them have higher reciprocal tariffs as compared to India, which means that at least on a relative basis, we are slightly better off in this new world. And if we can compete with them on logistics, quality, relationships, etc., maybe there is a window for us. So that's how we need to look at it. I mean, just because one market is closed, nobody is going to shut the business, right? They will attempt for other gains in other markets. And I think there will be a lot of bilateral engagements that will start now.
So in aviation, there's a saying that there are bold pilots and there are old pilots, but there are no bold old pilots. But thankfully in markets, you can grow old and be successful and yet be bold from time to time. Has the time come to be bold in the markets? We're hearing things like the worst of the correction is over. Should investors start making their bets aggressively now? Because it's always said, good news and great prices don't come together.
Look at it, we are a 145 crore kind of population, which means the consumption power is here. We are a country where at least for next 7-8 years, I can think of that double-digit nominal growth being a nice possibility. I'm not thinking beyond that because 7-8 years is good for all of us here. But if you think of it this way, India is a country where there are more people. India is a country where there is going to be more money power to spend. And think of it this way, majority suppliers are sitting outside India. They want to take money out of India, whether it's a Siemens or a ABB or a GE or you name the companies, they all want to serve some new customer, which is what I think India is. So that's your silver lining. If we are able to leverage this as a part of our FTAs, which means all those free trade agreements can be far more fairer, far more well negotiated, I think we have our chance, because in last 10 years we've got 2 extra things done for us. One was a digital economy which has been built very nicely, and second is the physical infrastructure which is required for all such trade related combinations. So if I think of it this way, there is a positive demography, there is a digital economy and physical infrastructure combination. All you need is a nice government system to take care of those negotiations, which I believe we have. So I think these are all the silver linings. The only missing part perhaps is patience from an investor side in equity markets, because partly, as Nilesh Bhai showed, we might have been spoiled by last 5 years returns. So let's look at last 15 years returns, and let's not forget, अगर economy 11% नॉमिनल चल रही है तो कॉर्पोरेट अर्निंग 12-12.5 आएंगे और इक्विटी मार्केट शायद सिमिलर नंबर देंगी. It won't be very different from those numbers because earnings are.
Indian entrepreneurs, they're also not scaling up to the level what actually government wanted. So when I talk to the government, I'm clearly seeing that they are trying to figure out that why the scale up in manufacturing is not happening. See, India also faces some kind of a regulatory cholesterol is there, where they have to ease out things. But Indian entrepreneur has to also come up and start scaling up capacities. Now government is saying you cannot keep on asking on all the kind of protectionism कि अच्छा आप मुझे ड्यूटी बैरियर भी दे दो, आप मुझे प्रोडक्शन लिंक्ड इंसेंटिव भी दे दो. आपको सब दे दिया है बट आपने मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कैपेसिटी नहीं डाली है. फॉर एग्जांपल कंप्रेसर्स, कॉपर ट्यूब्स फॉर रूम एसीज. आप कह रहे हो मेरे को क्वालिटी नॉर्म्स लगा दो, है ना, BIS सर्टिफिकेशन कर दो चाइना के लिए, but where is your capacity? Because if those capacities don't come up, then we'll have inflation in the country for manufacturing. So that is a big issue which government is also saying, and Indian entrepreneurs, manufacturers have to come up the curve. If that happens, then now again I am seeing that China plus one can play out. But another important thing which is also happening is that for China plus one also we need China. Now why is that happening? Because China is stopping access to lot of manufacturing machinery which we require to scale up our manufacturing capabilities. They are not giving it to us. They're also very clear that we are having a biggest competition from India. So that is where it is a very tough, diplomatic, political scenario where India has to manage all these things. China, who will now be more, I think, receptive to India, manage that relationship, take the technologies, scale up our technologies, and then start catering to some of these new geographies. Europe is also now starting to invest in a big way.
Definition which has been used to define small cap as today, and I take that number back to 2008-2009, you will be surprised to know that average small cap market cap has ranged about 1,000-1,200 crores. If you use the same definition 15 years back. Today's average market cap average of small cap is 16,000 crores. Now if I use a typical 15 time, 18 time P multiple which has been hovering around for small caps, you're saying that in 2008, a small cap business was generating you about a 50-60 crores of profit. Now a business which generates that kind of a profit clearly either is not a national player, maybe lacks resources to grow, maybe lacks resources for corporate governance and whatever concerns you happen to have in your perception. Cut to where we are today, a 16,000 crores average small cap company would mean it has got enough resources of more than 400-500 crores of average profit. Now they have become from a small regional player to a national player. They have investment in management, distribution, and everything which you look for a business. So maybe the definition of a small cap is not the right way to look at business anymore. You have to look business from a bottom-up lens perspective of what business is offering to you. And hence we have always believed, and again going back to where we started the conversation, that if a business gives you a structural growth of a mid to high teens kind of a earning profile, the business quality is improving, it's giving you certainty of earning profile, then why would you be concerned about not investing into it? Because clearly equity market by definition, you are taking some calculated risk to generate that calculated return. Otherwise you will not be in equity market, right? So I think the very fact that you take that view, you invest in businesses, you back those promoters, I believe that is why there is always a tendency to look at mid and small cap because there is so much headroom to grow.